Green Valley's on the foreground for you. It's not bad.
Okay, President Tolan, anytime you're ready.
Thank you. Call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. For the audience tonight, I'm the president and serve as the presiding officer for tonight's meeting. Before we move forward, I would like to announce that in response to executive orders issued by Governor Newsom, the city is conducting a teleconferenced public meeting utilizing Zoom video communications. This allows the city to conduct essential business and comply with the Public Health Administration recommendations to protect the public and city employees, practice social distancing, and limit exposure by not allowing in-person public meetings. To ensure that the public will be able to participate, public comments can be submitted as live comments during the Zoom meeting and via email at publiccomments@cityofglendora.org. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the roll call?
Yes, thank you, President Tolan. At this time, I would like to conduct an oral roll call and request that each trustee respond with present when their name is called. Trustee Blum.
Present.
Trustee Flowers.
Present.
Trustee Landman.
Present.
Vice President Chu.
Present.
And President Toland.
Present.
All trustees are present. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen and friends all, please stand if you are able for the pledge. With your right hands over your heart, please join me as I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation,
One nation.
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No. Thank you. The reordering of agendas, the reordering of and additions to the agenda. Does anyone wish to reorder or add anything to tonight's agenda? Seeing no one, we'll move on to public comments. We'll open the public comment period. Members of the public are invited to address the Board of Library Trustees on items listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on and off agenda items. This is your time to speak uninterrupted. Please address your comments to me, the presiding officer. Public comments is limited to 30 minutes. If you would like to request to speak, select the raise hand icon in Zoom before the close of the public comment period. You will then be called on when your turn is up to speak. Have any public comments been received?
At this time, we received no request via the public comment email or a request from Zoom participants of the meeting to give public comment.
Thank you. So we'll close the public comment period. Board statements and reports. Do any of the trustees have any reports or announcements to make?
I do, President Tolan. I was able, fortunately, to go to the staff breakfast where the Star Awards were presented on the 10th of March. It was a delightful occasion. Some very deserving people received Star Awards, and I think Director Stone will talk about that, the presentations. But it was just a great morning event, and it was delightful to meet a few new people, to reacquaint with some folks who've been around for a long time. And it was good. It was a good morning. Everybody seemed to be happy and happy to be there, as was I. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for representing the board there on the 10th. That's wonderful.
It was good.
I wanted to share something. Is that okay, President Toland?
course.
I had the pleasant opportunity to participate in Read Across America at Washington Elementary School on March 4th. And I got to read to a wonderful group of third graders. And for that particular visit, I brought my all-time favorite book, The Bones of Fred Mcphee by Eve Bunting. And so I read that. I love this book. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And foolishly, I had brought a second book along with me, but I didn't have enough time to read it. And the students were very upset, I could tell. And I'm all, I'm going to return. So I returned this morning and I read them Dogzilla by Dave Pilkey. So that's always a crowd pleaser. So that was wonderful. I enjoyed that immensely. Nice group of students. They're asking me to return to read Cat Kong, so I'll probably go back again. So that was fun. So that's it.
That is awesome. Are there any other reports or announcements? Okay, thank you. Item number 2, Director and Attorney statements. Reports of the Library Director and Library Divisions. Director Stone, would you please give us your report?
My pleasure. Good evening, everyone, and happy spring to all of you. The turnaround from the February meeting to the March meeting is always our shortest cycle because the February meeting is late in the month and it's a short month. So nevertheless, we are still continuing to try to improve our reports for you. This month in the written report that's included in your packet and is available to everyone online, you may have noticed that we pulled out the attendance statistics and started listing them along the left-hand side because we know we do get questions about that and we wanted to make all of that easily available to you. And we will continue to listen to the feedback we get and to work with the written report and the statistics as we go. A few things that have cropped up since that report was put into writing. First of all, regarding National Library Week, which we expected to go to council as a proclamation tomorrow evening, I just wanted to share with our audience that the council is looking at potential policy development for proclamations and similar recognitions. And so the staff has provided an overview of the city's recognition program, sample policies from other cities, and a draft policy for the city council to consider tomorrow evening. And since they have that policy to consider, the actual proclamations are on hold. So we will not be seeing that at council tomorrow evening, but stay tuned and we'll see what comes out of their discussion tomorrow evening. Let's see, among the other successes that are mentioned in the report, I understand that the Glendora Young Scholars Foster Symposium, that is a mouthful, Glendora Young Scholars Foster Symposium was quite the success. And to talk a little bit about that, I'm going to turn it over briefly to our Library Services Manager, Cindy Romero.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. So last week on Tuesday evening was the Youth Scholars Symposium that was tailored for foster and homeless youth. This was an evening that was put together by the Glendora Unified School District, the Charter Oak School District, Citrus College, the library. Other partners that were there were APU, LA County Homeless and Foster Youth, City of Glendora Homeless Services, Human Services, Glendora Community Church, and Shoes That Fit. So we had 130 people, 70 youth that stopped by that evening to learn about resources in the community that are targeted for foster and homeless youth. So some of the students, there was little babies all the way up through high school students. So some of those high school students, I overheard them getting information about how to get into Citrus College. Some of them, from some of the explanations that have been given to me by some of the school personnel, were that a lot of these students figure if they get their high school diploma, they're out. That's it for them because they don't have the money to go to college on their own. So they were able to connect with some resources at both APU and Citrus and find what those next paths are for them. So I overheard some of that. I overheard some adult ed conversations going on. Lot of families very interested in the homework help that the library has that can help support their students as they're working on their homework. And every single one of those students received a free pair of shoes from Shoes That Fit, an organization that serves Glendora and makes sure that all students in Glendora have a pair of shoes that they can wear and wear to school. Usually that distribution is done at the schools. They measured all of those kids that night, and then they'll be delivering those shoes, I think sometime this week. I think they said in about a week. So very successful evening. The school districts have already started talking about let's do it next year and what else can we add so that the students can get more information. We've also started talking about a partnership for, some of you may remember in the fall, we had a wellness fair here with Glendora Unified School District. So we're talking about expanding that for next year and partnering with Charter Oak and some other organizations to really expand that and serve as many of Glendora's kids as we can with those two events. I'm happy to answer other questions if you have them. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Cindy. Let's see here. There are actually several other successes to share just since in our brief 3 weeks here since the last meeting. One of them is I just wanted to give a shout out and a cheer to the success of the Great Trivia Challenge 30 fundraiser. Hurrah to the Glendora Public Library Friends Foundation. And thank you to the community for all the ways that you support each other by supporting library services and the foundation. And also the foundation has announced, so save the date, Night on the Plaza, another grand fundraiser, is on for July 16th this year. And the theme they have revealed is Margaritaville. So, so get ready for a great party. Again, that supports the community through supporting library services. And finally, it was already mentioned. Thank you, Trustee Blum, for joining us at the Star Service celebration. Just wanted to share a little bit about that. So there are two sort of streams of staff recognition. One is the city's official merit coupon program, which comes with certain parameters which qualify for awarding somebody a merit coupon, you know, a little note of recognition. And then inside the library, we have our internal own Star Service cards, which are broader and are really basically anything that has to do with customer service or quality of life, anything that just contributes to the well-being of the community and the staff. And so each month we have a monthly winner who has the most of those accumulated in month. And then each year we do a count across the whole year and award our Star Service trophy to our highest collector of those, the merit coupons and the Star Service cards combined. And then there's a trophy in which the name gets engraved, and then that gets passed on to the prior winner, and so on and so forth. So it's a nice time to get together and think about all the great ways that all the staff serves the community, each other, and then celebrate the top award winners for the year. Those happened to be this time around. The third runner-up, actually, there was a tie this time. And it was a tie between Kurt Galley and Jenny Reyes. So congratulations to them as third runners-up. Second runner-up was Alexis Mendoza. And our Star Service trophy winner actually was also a tie this year. Both of these folks were recognized, each of them, I should say, were recognized 15 times in combination of Star Service and merit coupons. And they were for things like working, like stepping in and hanging in there when we were short-staffed. And then also on the flip side of that, being of great service, bringing our new staff on board. Other things like sharing procedures with staff, helping take down and set up different equipment and program surroundings, like the easy ups for summer, for story time. Working with the Young Leaders Program. And then I like this one also, valiantly vacating the lizards from the building. And I don't want the public to think that if they come, they're going to see a lot of them. It's really just once in a while thing. They're tiny and few and far between. But of course, something like that does deserve a special nod from our colleagues. So anyway, things like that. And those two winners, each with 15 awards, were Rochelle White and JJ Gonzalez. So cheers to them. And also, again, thank you to Trustee Blum for joining us to celebrate everyone. I think that does it for the updates to the written report that's available to you and to the public. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Seeing none. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, special items. Report of the library director and library divisions. Director Stone, would you please give us your report?
Actually, I think we may have gotten a little crossed wires here. This is the special item for this evening is actually a demonstration of the Clio.com, which is our platform for our local history, architectural tour, new, unfolding resource, and for a demonstration of the platform and to talk about what that sentence meant, I will turn you over again to a library services manager, Cindy Romero. Cindy, you're on mute.
Well, really what I said was super important. Just kidding. So thank you. Yes, I will be sharing. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Just always want to make sure that I'm not showing something that no one else can see. So this evening, as requested, I will be showing, demonstrating very briefly the new Clio app that the library staff is working on putting together as part of the 50th at 140 celebration. This is really to celebrate part of Glendora's history. And so what we are doing is we are working on taking the historic core map, walking tour map, that is available in a pamphlet on the city's website. I know it's on the Historical Society's website as well, and giving it an uplift. So we'll be turning it into a virtual platform. We'll be enhancing those entries with more research, and I'll show you a little bit of things as we go through some of the things that we'll be able to add. And then we'll be able to add other sites. And as we go along, we may be adding other tours that will also enhance some of Glendora's history. So I'm just going to show you around the site just a little bit, and I'll show you kind of where we are so far. So this is the site, and if you're looking online, it is the Clio, so THECLIO.com. If you just type in Clio, it for some reason doesn't find it. It is also available as a mobile app in all the app stores. And so if you have the app, then you can kind of walk around with it as a walking tour, and it becomes a more mobile map. So this is basically the site that you get to. It is location specific. So right now, because I am sitting in the city of Glendora, it pulls up the closest locations, 367 entries within 50 miles of me right now. Now, we do not have very many Glendora ones yet. We have about 40 in draft form that are coming in from the historic core map, but we haven't published them yet. So I'm going to show you the backside in a second, and I'll show you what they're starting to look like. But this is what you'd look like if you were going to access it right now. The only Glendora place that we have, this is one that was published several years ago, is actually the Forestry Service building. And so what you have is you have a map of how to get there, including directions, if you need to have directions to get there, a picture of what the street view looks like. You've got pictures that we will, that we're adding of the building. We did not add this one. This one was before us. A little bit of backstory and context. And one thing to note that I think this is very interesting, any of the text that is here is text to speech, audio. So if you have someone who is visually impaired, they'll still be able to enjoy this content because they can listen to it. So I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it. Doesn't come through great, and but it is a way to make it just slightly more accessible to any of our customers, any of our community that that need a little bit of help in that. All of the entries are cited as well, so you can see where all the research has come from. Now, this is an individual entry, but what we're looking for is a tour, right? We don't want just a bunch of random places in Glendora. So if you go to the second little icon here, and you can search by location, and I'm just going to use one that I know is there. So if you just search Los Angeles, there's a whole bunch of tours. So we're going to look at the old Los Angeles walking tour. So this has 7 different places on it. You can generate a printable map. So if you don't have your mobile device and you want to print it so you can go walk around, you're welcome to do that. You can change the order. So if you happen to be at the Bracero Monument, you don't have to go start at the one at the beginning. You can actually reverse the order so that you can start wherever you need to. And when you click into the entries, you'll see very similar to what I showed you with the fire station. Some backstories and the sources down here. Also, this one you can't really see it. We're going to look more images, more information. We will be able to add audio clips. We'll be able to add YouTube clips. So we can add things like we can collect oral histories and video histories. So if we're going to have a site, of course, at the library, you know, it's part of the library's 50th celebration. So we have to have the library on the walking tour. But we'll be able to share memories of the library, or we could share memories of City Hall. We can share memories of wherever in Glendora. We can add other content. We can add different pictures. So we'll be able to not solicit, but we'll be able to get that content from the community to really add and make this an even richer resource than just the paper tour. So we're super excited about how this is going to go together. So that's what a tour looks like. So far, we have the Hamlin home. So this is just one of the locations, one of the almost 40 locations that the staff is working on. So of course you've got the address, a picture of what it looks like now so that you know if you're looking at the right thing, because this doesn't look anything like it does right now. Some pictures here, some of the backstory and where that information has come from. So we've got the Hamlin home. We have the Bellevue Hotel.
Cindy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're still looking at the Chinese American Museum. Is that what you expect?
No, it isn't. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare. Thank you, Janet. I had 2 different Clios open and I thought it would switch with me. Okay, so now are we looking at the Hamlin home? Okay, thank you. You never technology, it's great when it works and you know. So the Hamlin home is here, and of course we've got the historic pictures, a picture of what it looks like now because it doesn't look anything like it, a map of how to get there, and some of the backstory. Now, some of this information was gleaned from the Glendoran magazine, as well as from one of Ryan Price's books from 2021. So all of our information is going to be sourced through some of the sources that we have, some of our local history files, some of our clippings files. We're also going to be working with the Historical Society and the museum to also enrich these entries. So we're working on that. The next one is the Bellevue Hotel, which apparently was raised in 1934. So this is kind of where it was, but it's not there anymore. So we'll be able to add some information there. We have City Hall. So we've got a more modern picture and some of the older photos there. And then there's one more that's hiding behind my share bar. See if it lets me. And the Cub Chance building. Did anybody know that in Glendora is where the Frank Leroy Chance, the first baseman for the Chicago Cubs, was part of the Tinkers to Evers to Chance? He was also in Glendora. Sorry, I love stuff like that.
He was the last, well, I can't say last because the Cubs got first place. You know, they were World Series champs, but before he was the last winning manager of the Cubs. And that was the year the goat curse got set up after it. So yeah, cool.
Very cool. So we are working on getting all of this information updated. We're hoping for a release in May during Preservation Week. It will also be demonstrated in later May. The Historical Society program will be an architectural tour of Glendora with Mr. Stephen Slakey. And so we're hoping we'll have it available so that we can show it off to the Historical Society as well. So that's coming. Some of the future tours that we are looking at are something like the Haunted Glendora, some of the urban legends behind, in our town. And so we're just looking at enriching not only the historic core walking tour, but also adding other tours, other local history through this site as well. Happy to answer any questions if you have them. Stephen.
Thank you, Cindy. This is extremely exciting. I dig this. My question is administrative. So is this a wiki technology, by which I mean that anyone can go in and update language, or do we have control over to say that we have an account and the account is publishing this and that we are verified as an informant to the Clio?
Great question, Stephen. Thank you. So we have an institutional account, and with an institutional account, we have the ability to lock our own entries. So if Cindy, as a person, went in and started making these, other people could improve the entries. But as an institution, we have the ability to lock them so that other people they can leave us comments. So if they wanted to improve them or make suggestions, that we could see that, but we can lock it so people aren't just changing the information that we've put out that may or may not be verified.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Of course. I think I see Erica's hand up too.
This is amazing. I'm so excited about this. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to the haunted tour. And I'm so impressed. This is very forward thinking, very clever. Great
Yes,
job.
I would like to give some props to Alexis Mendoza, our librarian too. She was reading up in anticipation of the 50th at 140 local history project and located this site. So she's leading the team that is putting all of this together. So she's marshaling all the forces, getting them started on research. For some of the staff that may not be our librarians and may not be as experienced in research, she's helping them and holding their hand as they dig those first steps into some of the research of local history. So we're super excited to have her leading that team.
Thank you, Cindy. I will turn it back over to the president.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. On to item number 4, the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to comment on items 4 through 6 on the consent calendar? May I request a motion?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
Thank you. That is a motion by Trustee Blum, a second by Trustee Landman. I'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Blum,
Aye.
Trustee Landman,
Aye.
Trustee Flowers,
Aye.
Vice President Chu,
Aye.
and President Toland.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Item number 7, discussion of the 50th anniversary of the current facility for the Glendora Public Library. Director Stone, would you please give us your report?
Absolutely. Welcome back to our recurring item here. Next slide, please. So just a quick recap so that we remember the context of the celebrations regarding the 50th anniversary of being at this particular address. We do have some goals to the celebration. It is absolutely important to throw a party, but there are also some things we can accomplish by throwing that party. And here's that list of them. We've seen it several times. They range from reintroducing the brick and mortar library as a hub for information, entertainment, and connection to, next slide, please, the public gaining a greater understanding of the role of the library building, its challenges and its needs, and ways that they can help develop its future, and a few things in between. Next slide, please. So also there are a few ongoing things that we use to sort of guide the entire process that we're going through, prepping for this year. And now that we have launched it as of February 28th, we are, of course, as the trustees have deep involvement with this, we are paying attention to our Brown Act compliance, always offering guidance from library management and administration, being respectful of the demands on the city's media specialists. We are always aware of the official and unofficial messaging and outlets for information, and always keeping in mind a direct contribution to those goals that were outlined. Next slide, please. So thanks to our very generous Glendora Public Library Friends Foundation, just a reminder that we do have funds for these celebrations. These were the amounts as we proposed them, and we have gotten word from the Friends Foundation that with documentation, they are happy for us to shift these as needed, working with them and with finance to make sure all of that is transparent. But they're willing for this to be flexible in those granted funds from the Friends Foundation. And one great thing about the Clio that you just saw demonstrated, which is our main element of the history, the last item, the history in your pocket, is that the Clio at the moment is free of charge. So we have not had to go knocking into the Friends Foundation door for this particular one, although we anticipated that at the beginning. Next slide, please. So this is an update of the flow chart, and a few things have been fleshed out a little bit here. We know that as Cindy mentioned, that the Historical Society presentation on the architecture of Glendora is going to be May 23rd, as that is listed here in the sort of the golden color. We also have other informational programs that are in the works. We're exploring using the story stroll area in the library garden to explore the library building in its 50th year and beyond. Also looking at how to do some historical story times and how to do kind of a trivia thing. The working title is Fun Facts at 140, which would highlight both historic and current services of the library. Our decorating and branding team are working on some displays for the library, a sequence of them that would delve into Glendora's past, present, and future. And we'll expect one of those in the next few weeks. And then also they're working on some lanyards and things, both for the staff as well as the public. And finally, you've already seen a demo this evening of the History in Your Pocket project, which is the Clio website and app that Cindy just pointed out to everyone. So we are excited for all of those elements. Next slide, please. At this point, as we have in past months, we're simply just offering a chance for that report, as well as any progress that the trustees have made. Thank you so much for all of the support and all of the actual legwork that you are doing. So we just wanted to offer you a chance to report out as well, and then sort of mutually, if there's any kind of instruction to give to each other or to us, you see our recommendations here. So I'm happy to turn it back over to the president and await any possible instructions if there are any.
Thank you, Director Stone. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the 50th at 140?
I would just thank those of you who are working on it, because it's much appreciated. It takes effort to get things done, and things are going well. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I'll echo that. For the board, Trustee Landman's done a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So thank you for that. And Elke and Cindy, Gabby and Director Stone, we've been meeting regularly, and all the work that they've been doing behind the scenes, getting everything organized. In addition to their regular work is very much appreciated. So thank you. Are there any other comments?
Well, I really have not had an opportunity since the last meeting to reach out to the high school teachers, the art teachers. So I'm working on that. We're going to meet this week to have some more planning. And so we'll probably have more information, I would presume, the next meeting. I wanted to say how amazing the banner looks on the lower tower on Glendora Avenue side. So that turned out like perfect. So that looks awesome. That's about all I have though this time. Trustee Flowers, did you have anything to add or you think? Okay. Thanks.
May I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you. That is a motion by Trustee Flowers, a second by Trustee Blum, I believe. I'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Blum,
aye.
Trustee Landman,
Hi.
Trustee Flowers,
Aye.
Vice President Chu,
Hi.
and President Toland.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, item number 8, update on planning for the annual joint meeting with the City Council. Director Stone, will you please give us your report?
Thank you again. Next slide, please. So this is the time of year when the joint meeting crops up on our usual workflow. And we are basically, that means we're about to lap ourselves. So I just wanted to touch base with you and just overview what the current environment is and what the discussions have been since the last time we brought this up, so that we can just all sort of regroup and know what might be coming next. So just a review, the trustees and council typically meet after the fiscal year wraps up at the end of June. There is a state education code date of August 31st as a guideline for reporting to the legislative body of the municipality. However, that report does not necessarily need to be in person, and we have checked with past city attorney who said there's no legal impact if a meeting isn't held by that date. Plus, there are, of course, also, just as an aside, numerous reports provided to the council and actually also to the state. The state gets statistics every year. So anyway, so there's don't be alarmed when I say we're about to lap ourselves. We're still well within the guidelines of the state education code. Next slide, please. So just to review back on what has happened over the past year since this last cropped up on the agenda, we did create some goals for the presentation that we're expected to have that joint meeting, and those goals then branched off into goals for the 50th anniversary of the current facility. And that, of course, was quite a divergence, and we used a lot of energy to pursue that kind of subset of this whole reporting. 2 videos were considered in the process of setting those goals. One was for the joint meeting itself, structured with some testimonials and interviews and some narration. And then the other, a separate one, was being explored as part of the Inside Glendora series, which would have been a deeper look at the 50th at 140 South Glendora celebration. Next slide, please. So those are the things that we sort of had in the pipeline. And here's some of the things that in the ways the environment has changed or evolved since then. We have kicked off the 50th at 140 South Glendora celebration with the mayor and the council in attendance. There is an expected discussion regarding returning to in-person meetings for the council and the boards and the commissions. That discussion is slated for tomorrow evening with a feasible return to those meetings starting in April. The ability to do that in person rather than as a Zoom meeting was one of the factors that's been added to this whole discussion about timing this joint meeting. And then finally, as they reported out of closed session a few meetings ago, there's been a discussion of some structural anomalies that appear in the library building and the ways that the city might address them. And so anticipating that that might be part of a discussion of a joint meeting, the timing of all of that has been folded in as well. So these are all things that have evolved since we began the original planning for the more typical joint meeting last year. Next slide, please. So in the next 4 to 8 weeks, we do anticipate more information, both regarding, meeting in person, perhaps regarding the structural anomalies and so on. And all of that will inform the scheduling and the goals and potentially the presentational elements for any potential joint meeting. So what we are proposing is just that we will return with updates and recommendations as needed as that information comes flowing in the next few weeks. Next slide, please. Our recommendation tonight is simply that you receive and file this report, but of course, as the next slide says, I'm always happy to answer any questions.
Just want to make a quick observation. Trustee Flowers' feed has dropped, so we're assuming he's going to try to log on at some point.
Thank you.
I have a question, Director Stone. When do you usually have the joint meetings? Is it at the same time as a regular scheduled council meeting on a Tuesday, or is it a different day during the week?
It is usually on a Tuesday, and it has varied over the years whether it's separate and before the meeting or whether it's at the beginning of the typical council meeting. So all of that we basically work that out each year by year with the city clerk's office and with Sonia, who's the kind of the keeper of the council's calendars.
Okay.
But there hasn't really been a standard across all of the years.
And would it take place perhaps prior to the end of August? Is that, or it could happen whenever?
I hope we have enough of this new information in hand that we would be able to do this before the end of August. That would be my expectation.
Okay. All right. I was just checking.
Yeah.
I think we have gone later than that, haven't we, Director Stone?
Oh, yes. So it very rarely is actually in August. It's usually autumn or winter by the time we have the joint meeting. This one is actually, we're sort of bridging 2 years here because we did not have the one that we started planning at this time last year because of the possibility of doing it eventually in person and because of the things that were reported out of the closed session and regarding the building and all of those elements. But hopefully a couple of those things will sort of be resolving, or at least not resolving, but we'll have more data in the next few weeks. And that way we'll be able to pin down what we really want to do. It seems ineffective to continue planning the same joint meeting that we were planning a year ago when some really significant things have changed. So I expect in the next couple of months, we'll be able to really start reformulating what it is we want to accomplish when we do meet with council.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Well, may I ask for a motion?
I move to receive and file this report.
I'll second it.
Thank you. That is a motion to receive and file by trustee Blum with the second by trustee Landman. I'll take a roll call vote noting that trustee Flowers has not logged back into the meeting. I did send him a message. Trustee Blum,
Aye.
trustee Landman,
Aye.
trustee Flowers is not logged back in, Vice President Chu,
Aye.
and President Toland.
Aye.
And we do have a quorum, so that would be 4-0, and then one would not be present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next agenda item, no new business. So we'll move on to board and staff closing comments. Do any trustees or staff have any questions or closing comments?
Yeah, I would just like to comment. I noticed this evening, most of the things that we talked about and are doing are kind of outside the library. We are going out, which is a good thing. And it's interesting. I was thinking about the 50th, and I do wonder what they were considering at this time 50 years ago that this library was going to look like for the next 50 years. It would be interesting to know. It would be good if we had an agenda that was as complete as this one from 50 years ago. I have a feeling their agendas 50 years ago were probably quite sparse. Thank you.
We can certainly explore that, see what they were like. I just got word from Stephen, who says, internet has gone down. I am resetting my router. My apologies. So technical difficulties as anticipated. Thank you, Stephen, for letting us know.
I do have a very quick announcement just to give an update on the recruitment efforts for the 3 trustee seats that will be up for reappointment or that would be vacant starting June 30th. The planned recruitment will include a notice of vacancy that's going to be sent and published at the San Gabriel Valley Examiner for 3 consecutive weeks, starting this Thursday, the 31st and the 7th, will be published. We have received applications that are going to be made available to the City Council. Our planned date for interviews is May 10th for a special meeting anywhere between 5 and 7 p.m. Depending on how many applications we have, we will coordinate that and we'll give another update as more information becomes available.
How many applications have you received?
So far, 3.
Okay, cool.
Oh, we if somebody is an incumbent, do they re-interview or no?
Yes, everything should be the same across the board, regardless of whether you're currently in the seat. Mhm.
Thank you.
When is the final day to submit applications?
Final day would be June, what did we say? Effective June, so April 14th.
Okay.
So it would be noon on Thursday, April 14th would be the deadline to apply. That will be posted also on the city website so that if anybody has any information or has any questions, they can click on that.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Sure.
I wanted to add that was a nice article as well from the Examiner. Speaking of the Examiner, so that was a very prominent location to feature the 50th celebration. So that was awesome. 50th at 140.
If there's no other comments, then Madam Clerk, the meeting is adjourned at 7:48 p.m.